few days go by. I don't remember. I don't remember what. We'll just keep it on the same because I'm not sure. Like I said, my memory starts to screw up. So I apologize. And then shortly, like somewhere in between there, my manager did ask me one time during one of my meetings. He's like, "Are you doing okay?" I'm like, what do I say? What do I even say to that? I was like, no, man, I got a fucking war going on in my head right now. No, I played it off. I was like, yeah, I'm all right. So yes, he reached out to me one time. Nobody else did. None of my associates asked me how I was doing. None of the managers did. They saw me acting strange. They saw me avoiding glares. They saw me upset. And nobody reached out to me. That's the one thing I hold against them. Even if it was a mental breakdown, they should have showed they cared. Especially after I went through everything and I came back trying to reconnect with society, even to this day. Not a single one of them has said, we're glad you came back. We're glad you got through it. We don't know what you went through, but we're happy for you. No, they condemned me. So we'll leave it at that. So he ended up pulling him and another female manager pulled me into the office the next day after that. And I'm over there anxious. I got the voices are yelling in my head, and I'm at this point, I'm at the point of where I'm like about to get to a point where I can't focus no more. And I'm sitting there and I'm spinning in my chair and I'm anxious, and they're like, how are you? I don't remember exactly what they said, but they were basically like trying to get me to admit to something. And I was like, I'm not gonna admit nothing to you guys so you can find a reason to lock me up. And I said, and then after at this moment, I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why I did it. I don't. But I turned around and I looked at this male manager straight in the face, and my discernment came in. At the time, I didn't know what it was. My spirit discernment came in, and this dude looked like babyface, like he was getting judged. Easiest way to put it. I raised my hand up and I started rocking it back and forth like this. And I told him, I know you've done something that you regret, or I know you did something bad, but I also know you regret it. Is what I said to him. Now, I'm not going to go into details about what this is, but I want him to know that I know. It was relationship-wise. It was based on a relationship. I was also told that you got better and then he fell again. I'll leave it at that. Okay. So I told him this. And then I turned around and looked at the other manager. I did the same thing. Rocked my hand back and forth and I stared at her. And she didn't have like a baby face, but she was like staring at me with like this smile, like the best way I can describe it is like an innocent expression. An innocence expression. And I said, I don't see much wrong with you, or nothing wrong with you, or something like that. After this took place, I kind of snapped back to myself. Like, I want to say like turned into something completely different. I just had these instincts, or what do we call it, to do these things. And after that, I looked at him and I said, am I free to go now? And she said, of course. She said, of course you can. And I left. I thought that was it. I went out back to work. I did my job. I overheard the managers still going back and forth about the investigation that they didn't know I knew about. They're over there trailing me around, and I'm hearing them attacking me, trying to find information on me. Won't even look me in the eyes when they walk past me. I called them out on it, and they bluntly lied to my face, which I'll tell you that in just a second. I don't think it was the same day as this happened, but it's kind of... But after that happened, and I did that, the next day, I got pulled into the office by my store manager and two other managers. I don't remember who they were. And he's like... Actually, before this happens, I actually, later on that night, I walked in and I talked to Not the store manager, but kind of the guy lower than it. I'm not going to say his name, but I told him, and I was like, yo, there's some weird things going on here. I feel targeted and all this other stuff. And he blatantly lied to my face, saying, oh, there's nothing going on, you know, da-da-da, you're just paranoid or something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he basically lied to me too. I was like, all right, okay. I left. And then the next day, after that happened, I'm pretty sure he went and told the store manager, because shortly after this happened, and I tried to talk to this guy in confidence. I got pulled into the office, the main office, by the main manager. There was one time where I did actually go into his office, and I apologized. I actually apologized to his face when I did. But this time I got pulled into the office, and he's talking about all these other things, and I'm telling him off. I was like, I know what's going on. I know you guys got an investigation against me. I also know that you hired somebody in OGP and put them in the system in such a way to where they were under the other manager, and you were going to try to get them to hit on me, to fire me. And I was like, I also know that you got one of my associates to try to hit on me too. And he's like, no, we didn't. We didn't do nothing. We didn't nothing of the such. I was like, all right. I heard, the first time I heard about the OGP person, there was another associate back there, and I was happening to walk past him as he was talking to this girl. And I overheard, like, he said something like, that's the guy, or something like that. Anyways, so I called him out on that. And then I actually checked in the system one day, because they were stupid. They put this person, an OGP, randomly on my roster. I don't know whether there was an error in the system. I don't know. But I went to go look him up, and I contacted him. I was like, yo, this associate is not in my department. I don't know why she's on my list. And then I looked up, and that's when I saw how they had her in the system weirdly. And that's when I was told, you know, when I heard what they were saying, that they were going to try to fire me with her. They were saying, you know, I was already doing this weird stuff to this other person. They were going to see if they could do it to somebody else, to see if I'd bite that. They wasn't trying to help me. They were trying to target me and fire me. Okay. So, after, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, I explained everything. I was like, I pretty much told him I know everything you guys are trying to do. And he lied to my face. And I guess he maybe didn't want me to know it. Maybe he was in disbelief on how much information I was gaining from not people. I was getting information from spirits. From these spirits or these people, or the spirits that helped me, or the Holy Spirit. I don't know what it was. But something was telling me this information. And then I didn't believe it at first until I started seeing evidences come up. And I walked over to the table, and as I'm about to leave, he looks at me. He says, like, all right, so are we good now? I looked at him and I said, for now, but I am gonna be listening. And then after that, I didn't even wait to get left. I just walked out the door and I left. Because I was irritated. You know, my store manager just lied to my face. Thinking they treat me like I'm stupid. So after that, I finished up. I can't remember whether it was when I was about to leave or when my shift was about to start. Anyways, so I went home. What did I start hearing? It was getting worse. What did I hear? Oh yeah. After that happened, later on that night, I overheard the female manager, and they're talking to the other manager, and she was saying something like, why don't you just give him a chance, or something like that. And she was in there like, the girl was in there like about to cry. That's what it sounded like. Whether it was legit, whether it's not, I don't know. That's what I heard. At this time, I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't differentiate voices from this. I just left it alone. I ignored it. I tried to avoid her, but there was multiple times where she's sitting in the back room with her head down, mumbling underneath her breath, and I'm just like, I'm completely ignoring it. And there's one time where I was like, had something in my hand. I don't remember. I was like wheeling something, and I walked past the end cap, and I happened to catch a glance at her, and I stared a little bit too long and knocked over an end cap. I remember that. That was embarrassing. And another time I like cut my finger. It was stupid. But after that was over, I went to work the next day. And this is where it starts to get kind of bad. So I wake up the next day. I can't remember when this happened. I can't. I'm trying to think of when I should put this in, when I should do this. But I told her and then I disappeared. So, okay. That's going to have to go afterwards. So I start going into, let's just say I go home that night and I start getting very, very, like, delusional. I start getting really weird. I have these nightmares. Not bad yet. The very first nightmare I had, I was like on this white bed, and I had these beings, these floating heads. I clearly saw them. I'm not gonna name all of them off yet. I'll name them off yet, but this I saw this big white being. Told me, this area you're in, you're not allowed to sleep in here. And they also told me I was something called a light bringer or something, and like a side effect of being a light bringer was already making me tired. I'm like, seriously? So I can't sleep. I'm already got this side effect that I'm tired, and then I'm tired still. So I'm like, how am I supposed to stay up? Because I'm already starting to get groggy, headaches all the time. So I fall asleep. And as I fall asleep, it's probably a vision now that I think about it. I saw this big, bright, white light kept beaming me in my forehead, and I felt this pain just a little bit, not enough to really hurt a lot, but enough to be like, yo, yo, it's there. Also during this time, I didn't want to mention this, but I will. I'm not going to go into direct detail about it, but there was a moment while I was laying on this white bed where there was this spirit that was able to affect me in weird ways. I'll put it that way. Get me into lustful moods, basically controlling me at a thought. And it was weird. I was feeling sensations I shouldn't be feeling. So, after that, I remember I saw that I was kind of locked. I was locked, and it's like weird. And then I ended up seeing like this weird world with this chat bubbles, and this was off and on as I would fall asleep. But the moment I first saw it, I started seeing these chat rooms and stuff, and I was like chatting, and then I'll come back to that in a little bit. But I started seeing these little things. I also saw this other little bitty tiny realm, demon realm. But somewhere in between there, I think it's when I got trapped as a ball, as a thought ball. As I started seeing these things, and I was like this little, I don't even know how to explain it, this thought ball type person. And I was like bouncing around inside someone's head, like something of that nature. And these little black reaper looking jiggers, called themselves soul reapers, came in, and they're like, this is how you do it. And he came back out. And they did that like twice, 2 or 3 times. And they're like, then they also said something about you can like throw yourself out by like zoning or something like that. So I'm like, at first I'm like, what does that even mean? And I started dealing with it, and somehow I was able to like focus on my ball. And I tried a few times and I failed. I didn't say that during my story, but I did. I failed a few times. But then eventually I was like able to do it, and I shot myself forward. And I started going over to like these other supposed other realms of places, checking on things. They told me I was a Soul Reaper too, and I had to help keep tabs on stuff. This next part, I went over to this area, and this was like, I don't know, half sleep, half this, lucid dream, I don't know. But before this next part happens, it's like I knew it was there, but I launched myself forward into this other room. And while I was in this other room, there was like these different doors. There was like 3 or 4 different ways, and they were all like ways to die. It was something. And I'm trying to remember exactly what they were. I know the very first one I went to, there's like, I ended up dying, and I became like this little miniature demon looking jigger. I don't remember how I died, but I became this little demon thing, and I saw myself like a video game. Like I was staring at this ball, like it was portraying as me, but then me is watching this dude. So it's like, it was weird. It's like me and me, both me. I don't know, but it's like floating. The best way is like, the best way is like, here's the ball, and I'm just like stabbing. I had like this little spear, and there's like these little dudes. They're like these little. They call them souls falling down, and I had to stab these souls. And as I'm stabbing these souls, I'm just slowly descending. So, and then it would just repeat and shoot me back up, and then stab him again. Eventually, I'm just like, I'm so bored of this. So I'm just like, eventually this big demon-looking jigger, I don't even remember what it looks like, was like, you need to do your job if you want to get out of here. I was like, what the hell? What are you talking about? You got to stab the souls. I was like, how many? It was like 500 or something. I was like, holy crap. So I started stabbing the crap out of these souls. I don't know whether I got 500 or not. I have no idea. I do remember it was like, some of it was sleep. Like, this is the weird part. It was like I said, it was me. I remember me in my bed, but I remember this too. And I'm over there just like stabbing with my hand. And then also seeing this little blob jigger. It's just like, I don't know whether it blended the two memories together. I'm not sure what happened. But I'm like, I remember stabbing like an idiot in real life, trying to get out of this place. And then I remember being this blob. And I finally got out. And after I got out, I went over to this other place. And it had like this small countdown. I went over to it. I waited on this countdown. It was pretty short. And I ended up going up into outer space. I was in outer space, floating in this squirrel cage, just crapping on myself. I was crapping. It was me. I wasn't a blob no more. Me, sitting in a squirrel cage, floating in outer space, crapping on my... It felt so real, but the crap was like disappearing from my butt. It was like coming out, disappearing, coming out, disappearing. And I don't know how long that lasted, but eventually it went away. And eventually I went back to this main room again. And there was one more way of dying. They told me that on this last way of dying, I was going to go into this place, and I was going to go to this world, this new world. They also told me that our world was destroyed, and that this was the new world, and that I was going to have to like be stuck here in order to save everyone, so they would be saved and I would be stuck. So I had to like do a command to send all these people over here and then go out, so they would be alive and I would be stuck. So I did that, and they told me once I went over there, that I was going to go inside of a newborn baby, and then there was going to be a spiritual Lucifer who was just going to eat me. But this one had like a longer countdown. It was like 3 to 5 minutes. I can't remember. So I'm sitting over there terrified, obviously. I still feel my emotions. I still have these blended memories of being a blob and being myself. And then there was also one of the ones where back when I was getting shot back and forth before I shot out, I was trying to figure out how to place this together because I know it happened. I went over to this other place and I saw like this weird, it was calling itself a god. It looked like, the best way to describe it, and this is the same thing as it was the judgment thing too, later on in my story. It looked like a game I used to play a long time ago called Ragnarok. There was a monster on there called Marduk. And the best way to describe it would be it looked like that. It was standing there and it looked like that. I can't say exactly for sure, but that's what my memory tells me. So I go there, and this being is like, I don't know, mad at me, trying to hurt me. I see these lightning bolts shooting at me and all these other stuff, but I'm just like standing like, what's up? What's going on? It's like, why can't I hurt you? And the first time it tried to hit me, I was like, I was freaking out. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to sit there and vision myself. I'm going to launch a damn lightning strike at you. And so that's what I did. And I literally, I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how blended memories. It was pretty scary, but cool at the same time. I saw this lightning strike fly down and blow this thing up. After that, this thing came back pissed off. And I was like, just shooting it. Eventually, I was like, you know what? For some reason, I like bows. So I brought like a little spirit bow out, and I shot a damn arrow and knocked his head off. Eventually, it left me alone. It disappeared. And after that is when I came out, and I ended up going to the countdowns, and then I got eaten by Lucifer, which didn't actually happen. So I went up to this countdown, waited for 3 to 5 minutes, and as this timer gets down, I'm like, I don't know why. It was weird, because it was like I was terrified, but at the same time, my mind was like, this is how you're going to get out. It's the best way. It's like, there's nothing else you can do to get out. Is you get into like a nightmare or a dream and you just can't escape. It was my way out, but it was scary. So eventually that timer went down, and instead of getting shot up to the world and eaten, I woke up. And that was the end of that terrifying moment. That's when I was like, what is going on? I have no idea what's going on. So I messaged my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm not crazy. There's weird things going on. People are hearing me. There's people over work rioting on me. People were trying to shoot me. And she was like, she sent me this list of, the very first thing it said was, you are not going crazy. I was like, oh, cool. That makes me feel a little bit better. So I looked at this list, and literally every single check mark these things have is like, extra sensitivity, loss of appetite, headaches, delusions, sensitive hearing, all this. It said that you're going through you're shooting through different dimensions, and you're experiencing a lot of different things, and it's confusing you. And that's one of the reasons why it's causing memory loss, is because you're having trouble keeping up with everything. And it also said something about lack of appetite. I don't remember when this happened, but I do remember there was times where I was trying to eat at work, and my hand kept locking up on me. It wouldn't let me eat. It's like whatever this being was, it was attacking me. It was attacking me before I realized it. So I finally, when I got out of there, I can't remember what happened when I got out. I woke up. Was that the same night? Was that the same night that I had that timer? I can't remember exactly when. But there may have been, that may have been the same night. That may have been the same night, because I'm starting to go through this stuff. And then I remember I went to work, and things were weird. I was starting to see weird things. It was pretty obvious at this point. And I was trying to work. I was trying to do my job. And there was something in my head telling me, you can't yell. You can't do anything. You can't do anything, or else we're going to count it. They were trying to say it was like a simulation test, and if you didn't pass it, you were going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in whatever this place was they put me in. The simulation zone or something. I don't know. I didn't believe it at first. They're like, so I went to work. I started working, and these they're yelling at me, and it was a no truck night. That may have been the same night that I actually walked up to her. I can't remember, but it was a truck night, a no truck night. And they're like, you need to go check on your associates. They're not doing their job. And they were like trying to make me paranoid. So I'm bouncing around trying to find my associates. And then I walk back to the back. Before that night starts, the beginning is that I walked into the office. And this is where the doubles come in. And I don't even know what this means. This is the first time I started hearing about these doubles, like these clones of me that are working for me. I'm in the office, and I hear these voices in my head saying, "Yo, Wayne, what do you do? You're down here helping me already." I'm like, I'm over here getting ready for the job. He's like, "Man, you're over here lifting up pallets, and you're doing all this other stuff. You might not even need to be here. You just go home and let this dude do it all for you." I'm like, damn. And somewhere in that, like, that spiritual awakening symptoms thing, it's like the universe will bring what you want to you, or something. Let the universe bring it to you. I'm like, all right, well, maybe that's what that is. I don't know. I got this dude over here acting like the other manager, telling me that my dude, some copy of me, is over there doing this. I'm like, I don't believe it right now. But I'm over there getting ready for the job. I'm like, this is kind of cool. Whatever. He does the crappy job. I'll sit here on the computer doing the cool stuff. But I'm also getting kind of confused at this point. So I don't remember exactly when that happened. But there was one day where I was like so delusional. Where I went to work. I was trying to do the job, but I was like, I couldn't remember basic tasks. My memory was pretty much pooped out. I walked out the door and I was like turning in a circle. I didn't even know where to go. So it's just looked down at me like wondering what's going on. Eventually I'm just like, dude, I gotta go home. But these 2 nights, I can't remember exactly when they happened. This is why I think that maybe I may have tried to go to work when I was already fired. I don't know. But that night, so I'm gonna tell about this part first. So we're working, this voice in my head is like threatening me. It's like, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna try to hurt you. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And then I start seeing weird things happen. My finger starts trying to bend on me, like on its own, like bending on me. Like he's like, I'm trying to break your finger. And they're like, if you want me to leave you alone, you break your finger. I was like, I ain't gonna break my dang finger. It's like, all right, well, we're gonna try to knock you off the ladder. We're gonna try to knock you off everything. I was like, whatever. And so I started, when I was like on Top Stock cards, I would like, I don't know, I would like feel like I want to say like a nudge or something, but it's like a sudden dizziness or something, or like a vertigo, like it's just trying to throw me off. Like it was weird. And I remember later on that night, I was like up on a ladder, and they told me they were going to try to push. He was going to push the ladder and try to knock me off and kill me. It didn't end up happening, thankfully. But remember, and then me and my co-manager at the time, after the associates left, we're trying to do overstock. And at this time, the voice told me, actually before this, they were doing this, they were trying to break my fingers, and then during this, they told me, it's like, all right, the simulation's over, you passed, go ahead and go home now. They were trying to get me to clock out and go home during my job. I was like, no, this is actually normal for once. I'm going through all this craziness. It's like, I'm going to work. I don't care if I get paid. I don't care if it matters. I'm going to do this. Like, all right, whatever. You're not going to do nothing. You're not going to get nothing for it. So, okay, I don't care. So, I go back there. Me and this other guy start working on overstock after the associates leave. It might have been a little bit before, but after the associates leave. And I go back in the back to grab some labels. I remember this to this day. This actually happened. Whether it was a vision, delusion, I don't know. But I feel like it actually happened. I go back there on top of this cart to grab these labels for my machine so we can get ready to start working on these overstock and like claims and stuff. And this label like shoots out like this, like all the way to the ground. And because right before this happened, the voice came in my head and said, "Oh, do you need these?" And it shot them out. And I'm looking there like,